Hello, and welcome to Greet the Week. I am Mona Duncan, and this program is looking at living in the now and seeing that everything that we do as a lesson, maybe to learn, that we something that we are either perfecting or that we are wanting to learn. So today's topic is on seeking effectiveness. So let's bring this all the way up where you can see. And what is effectiveness? How many times do we say, well, I'm doing the best I can? What if we allowed our self awareness, our social understanding, and our consciousness to prod us to define the problem and to seek an effective solution? Or what if you could? What if you could? What if you could? What if you could? So I want to look here at perception. Perception, like this little prism here, is the way we see things, but it can turn upside down. There's the real perception here is to look forward. The person, if we were standing there on the bridge, we would see this massive, whatever that is, the extent of the bridge. But if we look at it through the prism, it turns it upside down. And so I suggest that many times fear, anger, hate, violence, all kinds of things can come from a misperception that we kind of turn things upside down. So, in looking at seeking effectiveness, we need to look at our own history and how much, what's lagging behind. What does the path look like up to today? Are there broken relationships? Are there unsatisfactory jobs? Are there conflicts with authority? Are there stressful living? Is it an overall lack of happiness and success? Do we go about jousting at windmills by trying to fix everyone? That it's realizing that the common denominator is always moi. It's always right here. It's always in us. And so let's just picture it. Perception is the way we see something, and it is based on our life experiences to date. And many times we can change them, and sometimes it's just so ingrained that we don't. And therefore, our perception becomes our reality. The only thing is that it may not be real. We may be seeing it back like the prism, kind of upside down. So, what we want to do is to begin to seek effectiveness. Seeking effectiveness includes giving honest thought, sincere planning, kind of wrestling with some decisions, having a willingness to sacrifice, and assuming action. And in the process, we also have to question and see if we have any hidden agendas. And to trust sometimes the faith that we have in honest doubt. Oh, I can't do this, but trust the faith that we have in that honest doubt. But in order to do that, we have to be quiet so we can hear what we're telling ourselves, what we're talking to us about, what we are thinking. So, in looking at perceptions, what do you see here? Now, I have looked at this picture so many times, I could almost tell you what it is without even with my eyes shut. But now, can you get a better picture of what it is? That it's a clown, but it's a clown, but here he was on the side. That yet all of the things look the same. They're more recognizable whenever we see them. So effective, what does it mean? It is the ability to achieve a desired result. So I suggest that consciousness is an inward knowing of right from wrong with a compulsion to do what is right. And we can be. And so when one is seeking effectiveness, it includes doing what is best for you, definitely. But I also suggest that by default, it includes doing what is best for others. And why would that be? Because all of us are connected and all of our lives are intertwined, whether we can readily see that or not. It's just so be responsible for your thoughts and your actions. Placing blame on someone else puts the situation outside of yourself and causes one to think and act like you must fix him. When we identify our part of the problem and we take responsibility for me or my thoughts, my attitude, my demeanor, my words, my tone of voice, my actions, then we have something that we can work with. This is not to say that we work independently, because the we messed this up. Maybe it was the we that are each responsible to some degree. It is the we that needs to have some course correction. But the thing is, the only one with whom we have any control over is that I portion of the we factor. To take personal responsibility for your part results in immediate empowerment because you have found the one and only locus of control. So here's a crash course in choice theory. And I had intended really to put this one before that other thing we talked about, but I didn't. So here it is now. The crash course in choice theory is that all we can do is behave, and our behavior is either goodly or it's not so goodly. That basically people are basically good, and I strongly suggest that no one sets out to be bad. All behavior is purposeful, and the purpose of it is to attempt to get something that we want or to get a need met. But individuals, I suggest that individuals are doing the best they can in the moment. And that individuals want to improve and can learn better ways to meet needs, to be effective. The individual must learn new behavior in relevant context, and that there are no failures, only lessons. So, as we look at need versus need, once you make a decision to quit blaming and to seek effectiveness, there's just something about the atmosphere, just something that it kind of softens. And the seeming opponents are placed in a more comfortable position to follow your lead. I know one time in a discussion that in a Zoom meeting, and there was an individual that was kind of, was giving their insights, and I was wanting to counter all of that. And I began to realize that, where is that locus of control? And I just spoke up and I called the individual by name, and it kind of stopped him from him. I called him by name, and I just said, I love you. And I don't remember there was just some interactions there, but there was just such an ease to me personally that whatever the person said, it was no longer really, it was relevant, but it wasn't relevant because I was willing to see that the only person I had any control over was me, and I was at peace, and I was seeking the effectiveness of the overall outcome. So if we go about jousting at windmills, we're non-productive. You are becoming directive of self instead of reactive to another. Whenever we realize it's need versus need, and whenever we can begin to look at the locus of control within us, that we are becoming directive of ourselves instead of reacting to what another person is needing or saying or doing, because that jousting is non-productive. And so the greatest threat to our seeking to be effective is comparing ourselves with others. And it's deeming ourselves as having fallen short. And this leads to kind of following the crowd or participating in group thinking. And it becomes a self-depreciating way that leads to stagnation and conflict. Meaning, and that conflict is more with you than it is with anyone else. So, respondability. I like to look at understanding the necessity of self-imposed limits. Regardless of circumstances, I have the ability to choose how I respond. And when that becomes a maxim in my life, it becomes more and more readily available. That regardless of the consequences, regardless of the circumstances, I have the ability to respond, to choose how I respond. And it is through disciplined practice that we move from ineffective to effective. So don't cope, but overcome. And let us flourish by authentically seeking effectiveness, by genuinely doing the very best we can all the time, at the time, with the information or with the tools that we have at our disposal. For your authentic insights are a gift that are worth sharing. So think it through, make a choice, act upon your decisions, and relish the feel-good results, whether the final decision is to speak or to not speak. And here, this goes back to looking at perspective. This is a quote from DeWitt Jones, who is a photographer with National Geographic. And he said, change my perspective, change my photography, change my lens, change my life, my choice every day. And I suggest that that's a very good. So, think you can? Well, I think you can. So many blessings, and I would love to hear from you.